Hi, I'm Liz Cully, and welcome back to Cool, Cool, Cool. Each week, I give you a glimpse into what I think is cool and chat with a ton of people that are definitely cool. No topic is off bounds unless I guess it's not cool. Welcome to Cool, Cool, Cool. I said I'm not crazy, and you said, yes, I am. Okay, well, fair enough.
We have that in common. That's why I love you.
I know that's why I love you too. I think that being a little crazy is important, or at least, willing to not act so normal. It really, normal people are really spooking me out, you know?
I thought all the normal people were a Hollywood myth. I haven't met any normal people. Where
Yeah,
are they?
I think, well, you know what I mean? Like, kind of people that just don't, wouldn't it, I think maybe let me rephrase. I think as I'm getting older and really understanding why I was the way that I was as a kid and even as a teenager and in my 20s and all of the things and why I was always getting into trouble and blah, 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 blah. I think it's because I was just too aware of everybody else being completely unaware. And I think there is some jealousy I have in what I call Gen Pop.
See, I call everybody else earthlings,
Mm.
and I try to assimilate with the earthlings at a very early age, and it caused me a lot of discomfort and trauma. And I finally, at my old age, have given up entirely, and I am just on planet Lipton now, and fuck it. I mean, this is it. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, Planet Lipton seems like a good place to be. Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have an earthling brother.
Older or younger?
He is 3.5 years younger, but 10 years older, if you know what I mean.
I
He's a
do.
responsible adult. I'm an artist.
What does he do for work? Or what did he do for
Oh, he's
work?
a CEO of companies.
Oh, so fair, but very successful. I mean, you
Yeah, he is.
also are incredibly successful and did a lot of firsts that we'll get into. So obviously your parents raised two incredibly ambitious people, I would say.
Obviously, yes.
What does he think about your art, especially your commentary on American capitalism as a CEO of many companies?
Well, first of all, let me clarify. During our childhood, I terrorized him repeatedly. So he's so frightened of me that he backs me no matter what I do. It's fabulous.
What kind of terrorizing? Are you talking
I
like,
got him on the floor. I tickled him till he peed in his pants. I mean, I did all kinds of stuff.
oh my
Okay.
God, you're a bully?
I'm a bully, but my brother loves me anyway because
Oh,
he's afraid of me. I think fear is fabulous for older siblings to subjugate the younger sibling. Are you a younger or older? Or do you have,
I'm the youngest of four.
so you know what fear is like?
I do. I
Yeah.
do actually. And it's funny because my oldest brother is 14 years older than I am. And I
Oh,
just was enamored and loved him. And he was my dad's favorite. And it was very obvious. And everybody revered him. And as a really little kid, when he'd come back from college, I would punch him and pinch him. And
oh.
I was annoying, and I'll never forget it. He punched me in my arm. Like that didn't send, really like walloped me one and said, stop hitting me. And let me tell you, I never did it again. I was like, oh my God. I felt so embarrassed that I had been being such a little brat. And yeah, I guess fear is good. My other brother, we're like less than 2 years apart. So we're kind of just enmeshed and frickin' frack and might as well be twins. And then my sister definitely is very distant. And so it's not necessarily like tickling me until I pee or like pushing me down the stair, nothing like that fear, but the fear that she wouldn't like me. So I guess you're right. Fear does work.
Yeah, I never bruised my brother. I didn't want any evidence.
Oh, smart.
I
She
would
was she
never
was
ever
smart, young.
I would never ever push him doan the stairs, but psychological.
Yeah, psychological
Yeah,
torture.
yeah, that was very.
So I guess is he honest with you then? If I mean I'm sure he loves your artwork because it's mind-bending, incredible on many levels, but do you ever ask him for insider information into what it's like to be a CEO, or does he ever say anything about it
Now we have
getting
two
close to
separate,
home?
we inhabit two totally separate worlds, but we do have this connection. Our family We laughed so much. My parents, my brother and I, we just had a weird sense of, my brother and I still, when he calls me up and we start talking, we just laugh. We just crack each other up. And so I don't know what it is to be a CEO. Has no idea what it is to be an artist, but we just love each other and we love our sense of humor. So that's enough, really.
Oh, I think I mean, listen, I laughing so hard that it makes you want to throw up or pee your pants, to me, actually might trump an orgasm. I know that sounds crazy, but the feeling I get when I get the giggles, I mean, it's euphoric. It really,
No,
it
I
gets me
totally
going.
agree with you. Although orgasm, I don't remember them that well, but I seem to remember they were really nice.
Well, that's a great segue. So I talk about you and your brother being really ambitious people, and something that I found, and you're very much on the internet, Laurie, but you're also a bit elusive on the internet. Is that on
Okay.
purpose?
In what way am I elusive?
There's just like not like there's one bio and everyone's sticking to the same bio. Like you have written your biography, it is a paragraph and no one has deviated from that. Like if you go and look me up, there's a bunch of crazy shit about me on the internet. Yours is very manicured.
Yeah, but there's a lot of videos about me and interviews.
That's true.
So there's a lot of unwritten stuff, and I have a lot of. There's a movie about me. Well, movie. It's a short documentary film
Yes.
that premiered in South by Southwest, which I had no idea what it was until I actually went to the South by Southwest because of the film.
What'd you think?
I was living in Europe at the time. I had no
Okay.
idea what that was. And wow, that was a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
No, well, I didn't know that. So anyway, there was that film. There's interviews with me and stuff. So there's a lot of, I talk more than I write, basically.
Okay. All right. That makes sense in the way that I know you. But something that really struck out in terms of how if we start from the beginning, is that I want to understand how one gets the first fine art degree from Carnegie Mellon. Like, was there no curriculum? Is
Oh,
that
no, no,
why?
no, no. That's totally, you read that wrong.
Okay.
Um,
And so let's just end the interview here and now because I can't read. So there you go.
it was a simple paragraph. How'd you get that
Yeah,
wrong?
and I also just led myself to my death pit right then and there. All right. Well, this is why you like me because I'm
Goodbye,
sort of an
goodbye.
airhead. Okay, bye. All right. Well, then you explain to me what I did before I
I
heard.
will explain so that you may understand.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Grasshopper. All right. So, fine arts degree is at Carnegie Mellon University. I was the first one to get a fine arts degree in drawing. It was only painting and sculpture. That's all you could do. So there was a,
Why?
this
But
is
why? That doesn't even
like,
make any sense to me
well,
because
because it was before the internet. It was when dinosaurs were roaming the earth. This is in the 70s. You do not comprehend the little amount we had then. There was only painting and sculpture. No one did. You did drawing before you did a painting, or you
right.
did drawing before you did a sculpture. You never just did drawing, okay?
Wow,
And when
that's
I
crazy.
first went to galleries with my drawings, every single one said to me, "Oh my God, these are amazing. Do you paint?"
Were you
Because
like,
they
get
didn't have
fucked? This
clean.
is like, what
No,
does that
no,
even?
no. This is because they didn't have client. Their businesses. They didn't have clients who would buy a drawing. What's a drawing? And when you see my work, it's like graphite paintings. Actually, they're more complicated and they're more difficult to do than a painting of a similar size or details. But, if you say drawing, you get an idea. And, a gallery can't sell. Now they can, but when I first started out, they had no idea. So, yes, I was the first one to graduate from Carnegie. I made my own curriculum.
That's
I
what I
said,
was
this
going
is
to
what I'm
ask. So you
doing.
made your own curriculum.
I don't want to paint. I don't want to sculpt, although I did both. I want to draw. And because my drawings were so unusual and so powerful, they allowed it.
Were you drawing on the scale that you're drawing now, or were you drawing on like 8 by 11? You know what I mean? Or what were your early drawings like?
Oh,
That
I
were
had a little sketchbook. And my parents were we were always the poorest family in the nicest area. Both my parents worked. My mother was a teacher. My father had a million billion jobs of different things. And they had very little money in their savings account. I think they had $100 left at one point, and my father spent $60 to buy me an ink pen set. It's called rapidographs. I don't know if you know what they are, but they're like a pen and ink set.
Hmm.
My mother almost divorced him because of that. But I had this rapidograph set, and they had tiny little points. And I used to go to school. They with black. I had infamous. They were called the black notebooks,
Yeah.
and I used to do little sketches of all these obnoxious cheerleaders. I hated cheerleaders. Oh my God, I hated
So
them.
my next actually really hard hitting news question was going to ask you if you were watching the Dallas Cowboys cheerleading documentary on Netflix, but it sounds like it's a no.
No. So I did, and I did little caricatures of the teachers, and I did very surreal stuff about what I was feeling like, and just line drawings. And they used to be passed around the classroom. And I was allowed, which is this is weird. The teachers allowed me to draw during class.
And how old were you at this time?
I don't know. It was just for forever. Ever since kindergarten, I was drawing during school.
Did you do well in other subjects?
My mother demanded that I be a good student, and I hated school more than anything because it interfered with me drawing.
So maybe the teachers could tell that if you were drawing, you were engaged or like it was, I don't know.
I don't know either. I really do not know. I was very well behaved. I didn't, I wasn't obnoxious. Oh, I'm drawing. I was very discreet about it. But, then people passed the book around. The teacher looked at the book. I mean, it was like they didn't say stop it. It's very bizarre. Anyway, I was very lucky. I mean, I was allowed to draw my entire life. I am very, very lucky.
You are very lucky, but you're also, I think, brilliantly talented. And as you can see in your lovely living room that we have behind you, I mean, your brain goes places that I'm so curious, like what is in your subconscious to then make these insanely larger than actual life drawings? Like, how long does a single piece take you typically?
I used to make up a number because when I am sitting drawing, and this is why I like it so much, I'm not there. I'm not there. It's like drugs. I am
Well,
just,
it looks like you've taken some
oh,
drugs. Tell me
well,
that
no.
in like a Berlin basement. Come on.
I mean, it just is totally encompassing. It's like if you're having a really fabulous time, are you aware of the time? Like let's say you go on the beach and you're yelling and screaming with friends and having a good time, and then suddenly it's night. I mean, you don't know how long you've been on there. The only time you're aware of time is if, you're bored or you're having a bad time. So I really am not aware of how long these things take me. So I used to make up stuff like, oh, this takes me, a week or two. I have no clue. So I tried because everyone asked me, how long did that take you? So I wrote down, all right, I am starting this drawing now. And then I'd forget to say, oh, I finished it. So I don't know. It takes as long as it takes. When it's finished, it's finished. I don't know.
How do you keep inspired? Or is it an endless well of inspiration?
I told my mother once that I think in images, and she said, that's unusual because people think in words. And I went, oh, really?
No.
Well, you and I are nuts, but other normal earthlings think in words. When I get a feeling, an image pops up in my head. And I've never, ever had a block. I mean, I'm
Mm.
almost like 100 images ahead of myself, which is why I'm drawing so much every day. But recently, this is interesting. I did a show that was the older I get, the more political I get.
Ooh, I see that in your work.
Yes. And so I don't have a gallery right now. I'm a very bad gallery chooser, and all the galleries I pick are The last one has been arrested by the FBI. Don't ask. I mean, it's a long story, but anyway.
That's like literally what I would like to talk about, but
All right,
okay.
all right. So I don't have a gallery right now, and I have this very, very political show that no one wants to touch with a 10-foot barge pole. So I have all this work here for the first time in my life. And I mean, my entire apartment is my studio. I mean, why not? I live alone, so I might as well go for it. So my apartment is filled with this work, and I just stopped. I stopped. I stopped being, the images stopped. I didn't stop. The images stopped. I was doing commission pieces. I was doing little tiny drawings for people and stuff, but the images stopped in my brain and it really freaked me out. And it just started up again. But that period was really scary. And I used to make fun of people go, oh, I have a block, I have writer's block, or I have artist block. But now that I know what it feels like, I,
Maybe she won't be so judgy over
I'll
here.
be more empathetic.
When you say you do commission pieces or little drawings, I can't imagine anybody telling you one, what to do, and two, like they just ask you for something and then it's one of those images that come into your mind. They don't give you a prompt or anything. Like that seems crazy.
No, well, you see, actually, during COVID, I started this thing. It was cute. I mean, I did these huge 6 foot, I call them Mad Housewives. They're based on 50s housewives. I grew up.
It's my wife's favorite thing, by the
All right.
way. She
All right.
like loves those pieces
Yeah.
so much, by
Well,
the
I
way.
have a lot of fun doing them. And I grew up in the 50s on TV, on black and white television, and these perfect women in their fucking little perfect kitchens of the future, and they're so happy that they can do the dishes and do the laundry in 2 minutes so they can take care of the children, that kind of thing. So I was making fun of this and using it as a kind of dystopian thing with the actual future, and all these wires and everything. So then I thought during COVID, because a lot of people were asking me prices and stuff, and oh, you do such big work. So I started doing these 12-inch by 12-inch Mad Housewives. It's on my website. There's a whole under commissions.
What the fuck? Wait, really? I have to get Rachel one for our anniversary.
Well, so
Oh, they're gone.
no, they're not. No, I do them as I'm commissioned.
Oh, fuck. It's our 10-year anniversary, Laurie.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well,
But
there
I'm
we
also the perfect housewife. Do you die?
So no one tells me what to, but I do say, oh, what do you like to do in the kitchen? Someone said she liked baking. So I did this insane woman with a knife in the cake, and the cakes are all over. It's all chaos. But they're smiling, they're smiling. And it's only 12-inch by 12-inch.
I'm
And
obsessed.
yeah, no. So it's on my website. It's under series and then commissions, and that's the Mad Housewives. So that's as the far as they tell me what to do, but then I have to be able to play. And
I do.
so yeah, so I did that during COVID, which was tons of fun, and it enabled a lot of my fans to just get some of my work, original work, because a lot of my work is, well, through galleries, it's more expensive,
I
much
know
more.
those galleries, but also your drawings are, I mean, 10, 12 feet tall. I mean, they're massive. They're huge. So you would also have to be a rich person with a big wall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even though you do make a lot of commentary on capitalism and consumerism and
End of the
pollution
world.
and the end of the world, in some ways, Laurie, the scale, the time, how famous you are, really in some ways, the majority of your work is for the rich.
Well, it is because I can't look. I know I'm successful because I can't afford my own work. So
Well, that's wild. That's crazy.
I know. So, but I do all sizes. So I mean, I just indulge. Look, all right. I just
I'm
finished.
just saying, if you're gonna give it to me, I'm gonna give it. I just thought
No,
about it.
no,
I'm
no. I
like,
can take it. I can take it.
because
I can
I was
take it.
thinking about it, and it's like Well, fuck, like I mean, they're so mind blowing. Like, really, truly, I am so curious of your deep subconscious. I really am. The detail, I'm sure the magnification. I've heard you've created tools to be able to do this work. I mean, it really is so unique, one of its kind. You created a curriculum at Carnegie Mellon. Like, Laurie, come on. But to be able to have a wall that big, you need a big house.
Yes, I
Just
agree.
saying.
I agree.
Like a really big house, actually.
Well, I just created a 20-foot drawing about climate change, but
Oh,
it's a triptych, so it closes off, so it's only 10 foot, and then when you open the doors, it's 20 foot.
that's cool. Where is that? But you're not in a gallery. Where's that?
It's in my home. I'm trying to get a museum show or something. If you know somebody, would you please just give me a heads up?
I actually do. Can I tell you what I just recently went to? And I think this is my new vibe in LA. I went to the Hamer Museum Gala,
Yeah.
and it was this lesbian art director. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but I guess it was her retirement. So it was nothing but bougie. Everyone was a lesbian. It was, Jodie Foster and her wife Alexandra. It was Jane Lynch. I mean, Jane Fonda's not a lesbian, but like honestly, I'd love to have sex with her. So it was Jane Fonda. It was like all these amazing women. And I met the CEO of the Getty Museum, who I loved. And then she invited me to the Getty, but I got COVID, so I couldn't go. So actually, Laurie, let me tell you, I've gone from horrible Hollywood bourgeois to now I'm in the art bourgeois,
See, now I,
which
you see, if you told me this beforehand, I would have treated you better.
that's okay. Honestly, the thing that I really actually, in all seriousness, really liked about this gala is, they can be so fussy and ridiculous. And I grew up in that annoying society world and I never felt comfortable and it was all ridiculous. But what I liked about this night is that it was very queer and it was really like interesting and people, yeah, there were actors there, but the majority of the people that were there were visual and physical and performative act or artists, and
Mm.
that is where you can actually just, I don't know, I was very inspired by it all. And obviously Jodie Foster, who I like, it's Jodie Foster. But yeah, so maybe I do know somebody.
Well, I do know I have met on a couple of occasions Jodie Foster's wife, and Jane Lynch is a fan of mine. I don't want to
Well,
name drop, but I just have.
this is all we do on the show. I mean, you can't tell me who the most famous person that owns one of your pieces, can you?
Um, After you get to a certain age, you blank for names, but I can see his face. He's a director, and I love him more than Terry Gilliam.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah,
All right. How do you feel about I mean, you went from living in Europe for a really long time. How long were you in Europe for?
36 years.
Okay. And then you were like, oh, you know what? Now's the time for me to move to West Hollywood.
No, no, no. I fought it tooth and nail. In fact, the only reason I came to LA was because my work was coming here beforehand. My work kept coming here, and all my collectors started being here. And then I was invited here to be an artist in residence at Cal State Fullerton. Okay. And I said immediately no, because that's what I say. Anytime anyone asks me to leave my studio, I go, no, thank you.
I mean,
But
you definitely said no to recording with me in person immediately. You're like, that's
yes,
going
yes,
to
no,
be a
I
hard
no,
pass
no,
for
no,
me.
I don't make me leave, please.
Yeah.
I'm frightened.
Okay.
So, but my friend said to me, who had done it before, said to me, "No, you're going," and she hung up on me.
I love this friend.
And it was fab. Oh my God. They asked me, how long do you want to stay as the artist in residence? And I went, 6 weeks. And they went, okay. And and I had to do lectures for graduate art students. And I had a show at Cal State Fullerton. And it was just because I'd never been to LA, okay? I'm from New York and I have an idea of LA, which is, oh, Hollywood, starlet. I had a New Yorker's idea of what LA was like.
Sure.
So living in London 26 years and coming to LA was like I died and went to heaven. I'm telling you. It was unfucking
Why?
believable.
Because you had real Mexican food for the first time in your life, and you're like, here I am, I'm staying. Or what? The weather?
February, 70 degrees,
I know, it's true.
sunny, hummingbirds,
I love her.
flowers. People go, good morning, instead of fucking the fucking the fucking fuck.
I mean, I do that, but yes, yeah,
No, no,
fair
but
enough.
in public, I mean, not, and because in February in London, the sun goes away. I mean, there is no sun, first of all, but it gets dark at 4 p.m.
I know, it's true.
And it gets light at 10 a.m. I mean, it's like living in a coal mine, basically. And and it was just because I used to walk in London with my shoulders up around my ears. And in LA was the first time my shoulders relaxed and I could see 360 degrees and I could hear people. And I felt it, this is interesting. I never felt at home in the US. So I went to Europe, and of course, I'm a foreigner in Europe, so I didn't feel at home, but that's okay because I was a foreigner. But in LA, I felt at home. Isn't that weird? Because everyone is nuts here.
I know, but I mean, listen, I'm born and raised from San Francisco, which felt so deeply a part of my DNA and personality. Went to New York, went to Europe as well, and then always was like, ugh, LA, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. And this is just where I'm meant to be. I even asked a psychic if I was ever going to leave, and she said no. So
Uh-oh.
here we are. Here I am in Glendale, just living my best life. Ugh. That's interesting, though, because I think also there is a little bit of a misconception about Los Angeles art as well, and that there isn't a community here and that there aren't artists outside of, Hollywood. And I think calling a lot of people in Hollywood artists is subjective and perhaps maybe a far reach, but whatever. But I
Right.
think a lot of people don't realize that. And there actually is such a huge art community here. And so many people, I will say, because I live around a lot of set designers and physical production. I live around a lot of Imagineers because I live near Disney. And these people are incredibly creative, I mean, Halloween in my neighborhood is fucking psychotic. It's like being at the Tragic Kingdom or the whatever at Disneyland because they go crazy here. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Full
Mhm.
on, full scale haunted houses. And they're different every year. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of imagination and craziness in this, in LA is fabulous. There are very few earthlings here.
True. That's probably why we like it so much.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel so in the 70s, 80s, 90s, living in London, living in Europe? What was it like as a woman creating larger than life art pieces in black and white and gray, in graphite, charcoal? Like your work is very, I don't know. I think sometimes people, perceive women as having inject a lot of femininity in their work. I don't know. I think you do, but I don't know if that necessarily
Mhm.
is that prominent. You have a lot of skulls, a lot of death. Did you face a lot of misogyny in the art world, especially back then and maybe still now?
I wasn't aware. The reason I felt I was being rejected because my work is so unusual. It's so individual. It doesn't fit into any ism.
Yeah.
So that's why I felt like people going, "Oh, this is fabulous, but no, thank you."
You're like, are you obsessed with death?
No, but anyway, wait. I only did a couple of shows about that, but that was those were my most popular works.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I love it. I'm just saying.
yeah, but I did when my mom died, I didn't know how to cope with it. And usually when something bothers me or I have a deep feeling, I draw about it, but I couldn't draw about my mother's death. And I had a Spanish friend, I still have her. I have a Spanish friend called Maria Jose. So Maria Jose was living in London, a neighbor of mine, and I was telling her about, I can't draw. I can't draw about this whole thing I'm going through. And she said, I'm not going to do her accent. Well, I will try to do her accent.
Oh,
She
good. Go for it.
you're coming with me to Mexico to the Day of the Dead. And I said, a festival about death? No, thank you. I'm very polite. I said, no, thank you.
So good,
I
though.
always say no. I always say no. So she said, you're coming. She's very. So I went. And Maria Jose knew Mexico like the back of her hand because she used to be the coach for the Spanish Tennis Federation. And she was coaching one of the biggest tennis stars in Spain, and they traveled all over Mexico. So she knew exactly where to go for the Day of the Dead and everything. And she took me to the most amazing places. And we went to a graveyard at night, and people were picnicking on their dead person's grave, and we went to this dead man of the town's house, and we were given these cups of chocolate, and the whole thing was so different than a New York Jewish woman's death, my mother, because even they won't even say death in New York. They say, "Oh, we're sorry she passed, but it's good she's not suffering." And I mean, they wouldn't even say, "Oh, your mom's dead." They wouldn't even say that.
I know
So
because I think people think it might be too, I don't know,
too
real.
much.
Yeah, too much.
Someone said to me, "I'm sorry your mom passed, but that's life." And I got really angry and I said, "No, it isn't. It's death." I was just like, really?
That's
So
a crazy thing
going,
to say.
I know. So going to Mexico was such a healthy way to deal with death because
Yeah.
death is a part of life. It is. I mean, it is what happens to all of us eventually, even though we don't want to face it. So going there and they made fun of it and there was cartoons about it and they had little candy skulls and it was fabulous. And when I came back from that trip, I mean, Maria Jose changed my life with that trip. I knew I had to do a show about the Day of the Dead, only black and white
Yeah,
and Jewish New York. So that's what I did. And it was, first of all, it was the most popular show. Oh, so I did it in London and the Mexican embassy hosted it.
that's cool.
And the Mexican ambassador's wife did a little altarpiece for my exhibition, the Day of the Dead altarpiece for me. And a Spanish TV came and filmed it because London didn't want anything to do with it. It's very interesting. London didn't
Interesting.
want Day of the Dead, no dead, no dead. So I mean, Mexicans came and Spanish people came and I mean, I sold out, so I thought, let's do another one. So I did.
I love that. Have you been back to Mexico since?
No, I haven't. I haven't. No.
I love it. I've spent more than half my life in Mexico, and it
Oh,
is really, I love it. I could run away there in a heartbeat. And actually, depending on if these motherfucking idiots don't vote for Biden, I might have to.
yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
about that. I know we said we'd keep it,
Uh,
but I'm like, maybe I will, and you'll never see me again.
I have a
Um,
British passport, so I can go to Canada maybe. Although I don't hear they're not great either. I don't know.
like, do you really want to go to Canada? I mean, I would go to Vancouver, but
Yeah, Vancouver. Yeah, yeah.
the thing about Canadians is I worked for a Canadian company, and one of the titles for the books I haven't written yet is going to be called Canadians Aren't That Nice. Because they're not. It's like a complete fucking myth. I'm like, actually, they're very passive aggressive. And I find that to be aggressive,
Oh
actually.
well, you just
So,
shattered my dream.
oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so you did not feel any misogyny pointed your way in the art community at all. What about like relationships with other female artists? Like, did you have a community that you felt as you were coming up in the art world that you had? Like, how did women play a part, or did they?
They didn't. And because I wasn't in the art community, I was out in left field, you know. I
Hmm.
was like a goth kind of person. I The art community is all painting and color and abstract and conceptual. That's the fashion. I am totally out in left field. So, um, no, there were no, in fact, my best friends were not artists. My best friends were all, well, writers. I,
Mm.
writers, but no painters or sculptors or, no,
Sculptors are weirdos, let's be honest. I
yeah,
mean, it's like, what
no,
do you
not
know?
as weird as architects, but still. Musicians, I have friends who are musicians, but no, I was not in a kind of community.
Did
No,
that hurt you? Did you care? You didn't care?
no, I didn't care. I didn't feel the lack of it.
You didn't feel the lack of it because you
No.
filled yourself in other ways.
Also, I mean, it takes so much time and effort to do my artwork that I'm not gallivanting around a lot anyway. So
But come on, Lori, you weren't like raving in the 80s in Berlin clubs.
no.
Tell me you've been to some weird party in Germany. Just lie to me. Never? I
Oh,
don't
no,
believe
no,
you.
no, no. I didn't do club. I'm telling you, I didn't do earthling things. I was in an experimental theater company
This tracks.
and we traveled all over Europe. My boyfriend at the time was, yes, I was trying so hard to be like everyone else.
Okay.
And he's a love. I was very lucky. He was the lighting designer. I did all the artwork for them. We traveled all over. We lived in Berlin for a while. We lived in Amsterdam. I can speak Dutch, which is totally useless. We and that's where I did all my drinking and drugging with these people.
That makes sense. And I don't even really mean the drinking and the drugging part because I know that's not a part of your life and
Um,
it's not which congratulations. And it's
I
not,
only have two brain cells left, and I need them to draw. So.
yeah, there's no point. But I just meant more like it felt like that time, I guess, in Europe, and maybe I'm romanticizing it, but it just feels like that would have been a really fun time in just more freedom to be out and to do some wild things. But experimental theater, it feels very on brand for you.
Also,
Yeah.
there was no freedom to be out. I'm telling you this, I mean, it's not till like 10 years ago, or even that was my biggest, deepest, darkest secret to have a crush. I call them crushes, you know. It's so quaint.
It
Um,
is so
on,
quaint.
on a woman. It was like, I would never tell anybody that in a million billion years. That was like, so I was hoping to grow out of it, quite frankly. All right. I looked up gay in the card catalog at the library because there was no fucking internet. We couldn't Google it. So I went to the library, okay? Because I couldn't understand what the hell was going on with me. What was wrong with me? Because I knew a lot was wrong with me, but why that as well, you know? So I looked up gay and lesbian, not gay and lesbian, just gay and lesbian in
Right?
hard catalog. And there was only one book that mentioned it, and it was a medical book. And I got the medical book and I looked it up, and it said, every teenager goes through this phase. You eventually grow out of it. I was going, okay, great. Oh, wait.
How old were you when you looked up that book?
32. No, I was about
Baby.
14.
Oh, so you had felt queer. You had, yeah, since you were 14.
Oh,
But
God,
then,
even 4.
well, right. When did you come out? Right
Um,
here on this podcast? Ooh, call in the New York Times.
Oh God, not COVID, not COVID. I fell in love with someone who actually fell in love with me as well. Because I used to love people who couldn't fall in love with me. That was the safest fucking thing ever. Okay.
First of all, that's the first step to lesbian or bisexualism or
Well,
whatever.
I wish you had been around then because I didn't know. All right. So,
Lori, obviously we would have been in love and ended up together. Hello.
God, you escaped a real. Anyway, so um, this woman loved me back, and we had the most amazing, I mean, the sex. And I thought, oh my God, this is why everyone writes poetry about sex. Oh my God, because I've been having sex with guys for forever. And I was going, what? What's with the poetry? What's with the music? What's going on here? I don't get it. So finally, finally, and I mean, I was like stoned constantly when we first met this, and I was like, oh my God, look at the birds, look at the butterflies, look at ooh, wee, wee. And then I came out to my brother first. Okay. And my brother said, whatever you do, don't tell mom. Don't tell her. Don't tell her. Don't tell her. Don't tell mom. And I thought, well, this is the most important. This is amazing. This is the most, I'm so happy. Mom wants me to be happy. Why shouldn't I tell her? So I wrote her a letter. And the reason I wrote her a letter, because we didn't have emails in those days. Okay. I wrote her an actual letter and I put a stamp on it. And in the letter, it said, I have good news and bad news. The good news is I have met someone who I am so in love with and who loves me back. And we're so happy together and we're traveling and we like the same things. And I've never felt this way before in my whole life. I am, and I couldn't wait to share this with you. The bad news is she's not Jewish.
Oh, Lori, I love you so much.
I got a telegram.
Oh, shit.
And the telegram just said, don't call us, we'll call you. And it was signed Lipton, not even mom and dad.
Oh, no,
And
Lori.
then my brother phoned me and said, Mommy is crying. She can't stop crying. Dad is this and that, and all kinds of stuff. And this is interesting. You know, first of all, I couldn't accept it. It was a whole different it's a whole different thing. Second of all, I had been sexually molested when I was about 6. And my mother's reaction to that, she had terrible guilt about it. And I found out later she thought she made me gay.
Can I tell you something that might make you feel, I don't know what it might make you feel, but I had a similar situation,
Yeah.
almost verbatim.
Yeah.
I was molested as a child, and my mother's reaction at the time was like totally. She also felt really guilty, but was,
Yeah.
very weird about it. And then my father, who asked me what was going, he said, "You're very pretty. Why haven't you had a boyfriend in a while?" I was like, "Okay, well, because I'm dating a woman." And he said, "Do not tell your mother. Do not tell her." So he decides to tell her on her birthday, which I don't know
Oh
why the
man.
fuck he did that.
Oh man.
And my mother called me and said, "Is this because of what happened?"
Exactly.
And that was the whole, and I was so angry with her that she could say that to me. Do you know what? Because she never would acknowledge it ever again. And she would never ask me if I was okay and what would happen to me. And I had a period where I was like really over drinking and, smoking a lot of weed as a high schooler and trying to deal with all of that childhood trauma. So, and then I'm like, I'm still disappointed that that was her reaction, if I'm being honest. But
Well, I have totally forgiven her only because so we didn't speak for a year, which is so my mom was my
same.
friend. We laughed so much. We loved each other. And then we didn't speak for a year. And then my mom got diagnosed with lung cancer.
Yeah.
And that put everything in perspective for her.
Right.
And then we spoke. And she said she wanted to meet my partner, Judith. And Judith and I actually flew over, and my parents, it was very hard for them.
Yeah.
They met her and we took us out to dinner and were I knew they were trying their best. And then I was alone with my mom when she was in hospice. My dad couldn't handle it. He was drinking like a maniac. My brother was very busy with his work. So I was alone with my mom, taking care of her in hospice. And this woman walked in who was a physiotherapist, and she was obviously gay, this woman who was a physiotherapist. And she did stuff with my mom. And then she left the room. My mom turned to me and said, I hope you're happy. I hope you find, that you're happy and that. So she was saying, it's okay.
That must have meant a lot to you.
It did. And we totally forgave each other.
Yeah.
Totally, totally, totally. So, yeah, it was hard for her. It was hard for me, so it must have been doubly hard for her, you know?
Yeah. Did you feel like, so it was after Judith and after your mother had accepted it and kind of that big hurdle of your family accepting your queerness, were you just like out from then on out, or did you sort of rescind? Did you still feel like you had to be not queer in certain spaces at that time?
Um,
Or were you just walking up to people and being like, hi, I'm Laurie Lipton, like I'm a homo?
my identity is not that I'm gay. My identity is I'm Laurie Lipton, I'm an artist.
Of course.
And even my art, I mean, first when I met Judith and we were having, then my art was about women and women making love and, but now, it's not it's not what I draw about. What I draw about is being alive in the 21st century.
Sure.
So it's not, I don't draw gay, is what I'm trying to say.
You definitely don't draw gay.
No.
But did you feel like, I mean, it's a part of your non-earthlingness.
Yes. And I'm in AA, and I don't mean Automobile Association. I mean, Alcoholics Anonymous. I go to gay meetings. I identify as gay,
Those
but
straight AA meetings, boy, oh boy, I've been to a couple in West Hollywood as a friend, like to support people on their birthdays. And I'm like, oh my God, everybody I just feels dating each other. It's really those straight people in AA. Woo, they just be fucking. You know what I mean?
true that.
True that. But also probably the gay ones too. But yeah, but no, I don't listen. I think again, you and I are really similar in that way. I mean, I am a queer person. It's not my whole identity. My friend group is actually not even really that gay. I always kind of joke, I'm gay, but I'm not that gay. I'm married to a woman. I'm like living my life in this way. But as I've gotten older, especially from a political standpoint, I'm on the board of LPAC, which is the only political PAC that specifically supports queer women, which I think is really, really important. Like things like that, when I was younger, I was sort of like, whatever. And now that I'm getting older, I'm like, well, actually, that's something that I am passionate about. So I don't mean it to say like, once you were queer, you were out and that was like who you are. I'm just saying there have been even moments for me where I won't, like the fish lady at the farmer's market. I am unfortunately in the closet with her. She does not know I'm gay. She asks me about my husband. I kind of dodge, but she gives me a lot of free fish. And I
Right.
feel like we've gone too far. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? But
No,
I
I
just
mean,
need,
I don't just come out to everybody. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
um,
Well, you did right here because this is a very famous and popular podcast. So thank you, Laurie, for the
uh-oh.
announcement.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh. Yeah, no, I guess I just wonder if it was, I get, like you said, only in the last 10 years have we really seen a major shift in acceptance
I
on a
mean,
global scale for
when I was
queer
walking
people.
with Judith, what was it? God, I don't know any dates anymore, but it was the early 2000s. And we were holding hands. Guys were honking their horns and yelling at us in London,
It's because you were very hot.
obviously. But I mean, Jesus, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. So now when I see, the fact that I could even say this, I couldn't even write it in my diary for me alone. I couldn't even, it was such a deep, dark secret. And now you see guys, I mean, I'm in West Hollywood, so I see this a lot. Guys walking around holding hands, kissing in the street. It's so fucking fabulous.
Yeah, it is. It really, it's an amazing, it is amazing. Anybody can just be free to be whatever the fuck they want to be, which isn't that a crazy concept that people care about other people's business so much.
Unbelievable with the trans thing, with the
It's
why
crazy.
who cares? Seriously, if someone's happy, I mean, I care if someone's killing somebody else, but if somebody's happy and in love, what the hell?
Yeah, I guess that's I'm romanticizing this like 1980s, 1970s, 1990s European gay like fantasy land, but maybe that wasn't the fantasy land that I've
Uh,
dreamt in my mind.
Well, there was like in Amsterdam, which I lived in as well. There was a vibrant gay scene in the 90s. And but still it was, Holland as a whole is a very conservative country.
Right.
Yeah, it's only Amsterdam who's, very out there. But yeah, no, it's just recent that
You mentioned that you and Judith were walking down the street in the early 2000s. Were you and Judith together for a very long time?
only 7 years. Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't come out to your parents until the mid 90s?
Yeah. So
So you were mature.
I'm never mature. I'm still not
I
mature.
mean, fair, but you know what I
Uh,
mean. I
I
don't like to
was,
say
I was, I was
30 something.
30, I think I was 33 or something. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually not, I mean, I was 28.
All right, you beat me. You're better than me. What do you
First of all,
want?
I'm not. I'm actually just trying to mirror you because
Yeah,
actually we're
yeah,
the
yeah.
same person, only you're a genius and I'm just like a terrible podcast interviewer. Um, 7 years, okay. That's a while though.
Yeah,
That's a
it
long
is.
stretch.
It is.
You talk about your artwork getting very political. I
Mm.
actually posted, I don't know if you saw this on Instagram, but on the Cool 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 Instagram, I posted one of your Trump drawings because
Uh-huh.
I love it so deeply when he was convicted. Because there are people out there that would like to vote for a fucking convicted sociopathic felon for president. Um, you didn't work for a little while. Now you're starting again. Are we still in a political art? I mean, all of your art is political, but is it hyper focused on the elections in the US right now? Or are you starting to expand outside of that? I know you make a lot of commentary on global warming, which I love, even though it
Yeah,
terrifies
it's
me.
about the 50s women again because I have so much fun with that. So I thought I'd
Got
ease
it.
myself back in, but also about the end of the world, the climate change,
Yeah,
which
the
we're
end of the
not
world.
looking at. We're going, oh, look at King Charles's painting. Meanwhile, the world is hotting up and everything's melting. And oh, look, I mean, on the news, there's nothing. There's really nothing.
It's very crazy. It's really insane. If you want to look at something that'll make you so sad, my oldest brother that I spoke about at the beginning of the interview, he has gone to the Arctic
Oh, God.
um, every year for his research project. He's a marine virologist. He's incredibly smart. University of Honolulu is one of the longest standing studies of water temperature and salinity that is, obviously that is without them knowing it probably at the time, the longest global warming record of waters there. He has been going there for, I don't know, God, at least 10, if not longer years. And to see the photos and his findings is just, it's like beyond. It is so sad. My whole garden is native. I know that sounds small, but it is a major thing that anybody can do is to plant actual native plants for our
Yeah.
bees and our birds and low water. But yeah, it's hot as fuck. I was out last night and then the first thing this morning watering all my plants as little as possible, being like, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die. But yeah, everyone is a monster,
Well, and we're so distracted by other things.
right?
This is just like going underneath, like you're saying, the subconscious. This is subconscious of the earth. It's just happening, and we're just going, wee, what's that? What's that? Who's marrying whom? What's going on here? And meanwhile, when the ice melts, it's releasing carbon into the atmosphere, so it's making it even worse. So it's anyway,
Yeah, it's
I
bad. Bad news bears.
yeah, so I am focusing on that plus the kind of oblivious 50s housewife again. because I love these fucking, I mean, the faces of these women in those commercials, like, hey, meanwhile, so, which is what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
totally disconnected. We're into our own stuff. We're doing our own thing, man. Oh, I love how they said, don't buy plastic straws. That's going to help. I mean, seriously. Meanwhile, the oil companies, petrochemicals, I mean, they're dumping. Plastic straws, no matter how many plastic straws you don't buy, is not going to.
I mean, I actually find paper straws to be the most offensive thing on the planet. I'm like,
Totally.
just don't use a fucking straw.
Well, just hold on.
What have you got? A metal one? Is that a plastic straw?
Yes.
I'm dead.
I don't drive, so I'm allowed.
Yeah, it's true. You don't drive, so you are allowed. Yeah, okay, so we can expect more of our global warming disaster reflected in your beautiful, beautiful pieces, which I look forward to seeing.
My artwork has always been about relieving myself. When I was a child and that thing happened, when I was 6 years old, I couldn't talk about it.
Right.
So I drew, and I drew the most amazingly disturbing things, but I was allowed. And that was how I started. So things that are disturbing me, and this is the habit that I acquired from childhood. So when I get disturbed about something, that's when I start drawing about it. And so that's why I am so deeply disturbed about what's going on politically, climate wise, everything, that's what I'm doing. And also aging. I just did a drawing that's called The Tick-Tocking of Time. I just like alliteration, forgive me. But and it's just this woman drowning in webs.
Oh,
And
cool.
and yeah, I just
Well, because I love your piece with the woman looking in the mirror, and then it's like the mirror, the mirror, the mirror, the
and
mirror,
she's
the mirror.
aging as it
And
goes.
she's aged. I love that one. It's really great.
Well, that's from a show. I had a show with Goya. I love name dropping. You want to name drop? I'll name drop.
Honestly, this entire show is nothing but name dropping. So
Okay, so there we
please,
go. I had a
just
show with Goya and I had top billing only because he's dead, so he couldn't complain. But the Spanish, what was it? I see, I can't remember names anymore. There's a Spanish institute, the Cervantes Institute. There we are. The Cervantes Institute in London sponsored a show with me inspired by Goya's lithographs and paintings. I did my own thing. And then they brought a guy from Spain, handcuffed to a portfolio of Goya's,
oh yeah, of course.
and he had to sit in the exhibition and not leave as long as the exhibition was open. I'm sure if someone came in and stole my drawings, he would have moved. But the Goyas, he was looking at the Goyas. So there we are. But that Mirror Mirror, I took all the titles from Goya and did my own thing with them. So Mirror Mirror was a title from Goya. And also there's a drawing I did called Love Bite that is of a woman biting into a baby's head, which,
Oh yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, it's 6 foot tall, and somebody actually bought that thing. I can't believe it because I couldn't even bear drawing it. But that's from Goya by Saturn eating his son, the painting, Saturn devouring his son. Only I did it like a mother with like a Jewish mother, only she's Chinese, but that's only because my friend's mother posed for me, but there we are. So I did a whole show with Goya. So his work was next to mine.
Wow, that's cool.
That's very cool.
Well, it's cool for him. Little does he know.
Totally.
Well, Laurie, I won't take up more of your time asking you questions that have already been asked of you in all of the interviews that we can find on the internet and in your documentary, but you know how much I love you, and I'm so excited that you decided to open up your incredible living room for us all to see.
It's a pain to dust, let me tell you.
I can't imagine, but I do love all of those skeletons clapping for you. I mean, it's like they're real. It's great.
My
Looks like you
minion.
have your minions. I was gonna say you might have a lot to dust, but they can do it for you.
Yeah, they've unionized. They won't.
Lori, thank you.
It
You
was
are a
lovely
pleasure.
seeing you, sweetheart. I haven't seen you in ages. It was
I
lovely.
know, I miss you.
It's time to gather loved ones together for all the holidays' best spread. Lynn's has great prices on all your favorite Thanksgiving items, from delicious turkey with all the fixings to mashed potatoes and yummy pies. We have everything you need to create your perfect Thanksgiving dinner. Whether it's cooking the traditional meal, completely store-bought, or a combination of both, your best holiday meal starts here. Learn more and start shopping today at lynsgrocery.com. Lynn's, where delicious begins.